A suspected group infection of Shiga toxin-producing E. coli affects 3 doctors at Princess Margaret Hospital. One of them dies. Tram riders may have to pay 30 cents more per trip in the future as Hong Kong Tramways applies for a fare hike.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. This is the beginning of making America rich again.
And U.S. President Donald Trump decides to impose a flat-rate levy of 25% on all aluminum and steel imports with no exceptions or exemptions. Good evening. You're now watching Cable News. I'm Cheryl Yuen. A suspected food-related group infection of Shiga toxin-producing Escherichia coli has affected 3 doctors at Princess Margaret Hospital, resulting in 1 rapid death. Authorities stated that patient safety is not currently at risk. Jeremy Zhu reports.
The 3 oncologists began experiencing abdominal pain, diarrhea, and vomiting from last Tuesday. The first affected doctor, who previously had good health, was admitted to the hospital last Thursday with high fever, hypertension, and low blood oxygen levels. He passed away the following day, although his stool sample did not test positive for Shiga toxin-producing E. coli. The other 2 doctors have milder symptoms, with only one testing positive for the bacterium. Preliminary investigation suggests the cases involve contaminated food. The source is still under investigation, but is believed not to involve the hospital's canteen. Meanwhile, environmental factors are not ruled out, since the 3 doctors are said to have dined together in the same break room.
Tram riders may have to pay 30 cents more per trip in the future, as Hong Kong Tramways, often dubbed the cheapest transportation mode on Hong Kong Island, has submitted an application to the Transport Department for a fare hike to ensure the long-term sustainable operation and development of its services. If approved, the first hike since July 2022 will see tram tickets for passengers aged 12 or above adjusted to $3.30, reflecting a 30-cent increase. Children between the ages of 3 and 11 will have to pay $1.60 per ride, which is 10 cents more expensive than before. As for the elderly aged 65 or above, the adjusted fare will be $1.50, representing a 20-cent increase. Monthly tickets will remain unchanged at $260. The tram operator explained that the number of commuters has yet to return to pre-COVID levels, citing a 15% drop in passenger numbers compared to 2018. The fare hike application is deemed necessary to cover increased operational costs, essential maintenance fees, and the development of non-ticketing revenue sources. Beijing's top official on Hong Kong affairs, Xiaolong, had given clear instructions on how the city can better integrate into national development, said Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan. Evelyn Bai reports.
Accompanied by Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan and Financial Secretary Paul Chan, Director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office Xiaolong inspected the Hong Kong Park of the Hetao Shenzhen Hong Kong Science and Technology Innovation Cooperation Zone last Sunday. Speaking before the Executive Council meeting today, the acting city chief mentioned that Xia was really concerned about the economy of Hong Kong.
Director Xia is very concerned about Hong Kong. He highly recognized the work of Hong Kong as our government under the leadership of the chief executive, and he also directed that we should try our very best to integrate into the mainland's national policies, especially the Greater Bay Area initiative. I think this is very important to Hong Kong.
Meanwhile, the United States has confirmed that no additional tariffs will be applied to small parcels from Hong Kong for now. The acting city chief said Hong Kong Post has resumed accepting U.S.-bound parcels today, while slapping the U.S. arrangement.
This is absolutely inconsistent with the WTO, the rules. Of course, and also they have to totally disregard that Hong Kong is a separate customs territory. And we have, and we will file a complaint to the WTO regarding this unreasonable arrangement.
Separately, Chen also addressed concerns about whether civil servants will face a pay freeze or a pay cut to ease the government's financial burden, saying that the government has an established system to handle civil servants' salaries, factoring in the economic situation, cost of living, and morale. The Chief Executive and the Executive Council will have the final decision after considering such factors and suggestions. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Hong Kong has welcomed a positive beginning to the Year of the Snake, Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan noted, highlighting impressive visitor numbers during the festive period, the upcoming public debut of the Panda Twins, and the imminent opening of the Kai Tak Sports Park. Jeremy Zhu reports.
Addressing the Executive Council meeting, Chan reported that January saw over 4.7 million visitors, including around 3.73 million from the mainland, both record highs since the pandemic. Additionally, this Sunday, the city's beloved giant panda twins, born last August, will make their first public appearance. Meanwhile, the Kai Tak Sports Park is gearing up for its grand opening on March 1st after a series of successful test runs. Chan expressed confidence in the park's readiness, citing satisfactory results from the previous tests, with more rehearsals on the pipeline, including one with over 60,000 participants. He also announced a grand opening ceremony on March 1st at the main venue. The 90-minute event will feature a vibrant mix of dance, sports, and musical performances, celebrating Kai Tak's transformation and Hong Kong's rich legacy in sports and cultural exchanges. Performers will include representatives from both local and mainland cultural and sports sectors, with 4 free television channels in the city broadcasting the ceremony. The acting city chief is optimistic that Kai Tak Sports Park will become a dynamic new landmark, blending sports, leisure, dining, and shopping. He believes it will attract major international events that could boost tourism and drive economic growth across multiple sectors. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
In the latest trade war salvo, U.S. President Donald Trump announced 25% tariffs on all aluminum and steel imports without exceptions or exemptions. Anna Chen reports.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. This is the beginning of making America rich again.
In a major expansion of existing trade barriers, U.S. President Donald Trump signed proclamations raising duties on steel and aluminum imports to a flat 25% without exceptions or exemptions.
We were being pummeled by both friend and foe alike. Our nation requires steel and aluminum to be made in America, not in foreign lands. We need to create, in order to protect our country's future, a resurgence of U.S. manufacturing and production, the likes of which has not been seen for many decades.
Starting from March 4th, tariff rates on aluminum will be raised from 10% to 25%, as well as ending exclusions for steel and aluminum tariffs. Trump added that the move will simplify tariffs on the metals so that everyone can understand exactly what it means. However, he later said he would consider Australia's request for an exemption to the steel levies due to the country's trade deficit with the U.S. Meanwhile, Canada called the new tariffs totally unjustified, as Canada alone accounted for more than 50% of aluminum imported into the U.S. last year. More announcements about reciprocal tariffs on all countries that impose duties on U.S. goods are expected over the next 2 days. Trump also signaled he was looking at taxes on cars, semiconductor chips, and pharmaceuticals. Anna Chan, Cable News.
Fueled by U.S. President Donald Trump's fresh tariff threats, gold price rocketed to a record high, with spot gold going over $2,900 per ounce. Evelyn Bai reports.
Gold prices kept the momentum going, breaching the key $2,900 level for the first time. The surge followed U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement to raise tariffs by 25% on all aluminum and steel imports, which drove investor demand for safe haven assets. In Hong Kong, the price of gold ornaments also followed the upward trend, rising to over $32,000 per tale, marking an accumulated surge of 10% since this year. Some jewelers and goldsmiths noticed an uptick in inquiries for small gold ornaments, while most customers were just window shopping. This woman said gold price is so expensive now, so she is just looking and has no intention of buying. This woman said she checks the gold price every day. Although it is normal for the price to go up and down, it often rose faster than it fell, making it unaffordable for Hong Kongers. Despite the new tariff, a pilot program on the mainland allowing certain insurance companies to invest in gold is another catalyst. The move, launched by the National Financial Regulatory Administration, aims to broaden the channels for utilization of insurance funds. Meanwhile, the World Gold Council recorded a net inflow of $3 billion in global physically backed gold exchange traded funds in January. Among these, Europe dominated the capital inflows, which were the largest in nearly 3 years, while North American investors remained net sellers of gold ETFs. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
U.S. President Donald Trump said he has spoken to President Xi Jinping since his inauguration, but did not provide details on the conversation. Trump made the comments in a Fox News interview that was taped last week and aired on Monday. He said he has talked to Xi and also his people without revealing when exactly the call happened or what was discussed. Trump added that he and Xi have a very good personal relationship and he knows Xi better than anyone. Last week, Trump said he was in no hurry to speak to Xi after his administration imposed additional 10% tariff on Chinese imports. A conversation between the two leaders is seen as crucial to a potential easing or delay of trade tariffs. In response to Hamas' threat of delaying the next hostage release, U.S. President Donald Trump issued an ultimatum, warning if the hostages are not released from Gaza by noon Saturday, all hell is going to break loose. Anna Chan reports.
Relatives of hostages still being held in Gaza and protesters gathered in Tel Aviv on Monday after Hamas threatened to delay the next hostage release until further notice. The militant group later said the door remains open, appearing to give time for the impasse to be resolved. The next exchange, scheduled for Saturday, called for 3 more Israeli hostages to be freed in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Israel called Hamas' threat a complete violation of the ceasefire deal, adding that the Israeli military is preparing at the highest level of alert for any possible scenario in Gaza. In total, 17 Israeli hostages were still due to be released in the first phase of the 6-week truce. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump issued an ultimatum for Hamas.
If all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, it's going to be a different ballgame.
Having said that, Trump stressed that he was speaking for himself and acknowledged that such a decision would be up to Israel. The latest test to the fragile ceasefire was coincident with Trump's suggestion of taking over Gaza. He further explained his plan in an interview that Palestinians would not have a right to return to Gaza because they will have much better housing at a separate place where he would build for them. He also suggested that he could withhold aid from Jordan and Egypt if they do not accept new Palestinian refugees. Anna Chan, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 227 points. Top 10 active stocks, Tencent was down $9.60, Meituan was down 90 cents. BYD was down $2.40, SMIC was down $2.50. On to the weather now. Cloudy and a few rain patches tomorrow. Rain will be more frequent during the day. Mist patches in the morning and at night. Temperatures will range between 17 and 20 degrees. And that's our news tonight. I'm Cheryl Yuen. Thanks for watching and good night.